Hello and welcome back to Kefir 101. Steve from Leaner by Design, and I'm going to show you how to make your own kefir from scratch. We talked about in the last video about the equipment you're going to need. Really simple. And in this video I'm just going to talk about how to get your first batch going. So whether you've bought it from my own personal store where I have kefir for sale, the grains, or whether you've bought it from me on Amazon or somewhere else, you'll be receiving through the post, or you may have bought it from another company, that's fine too. Through the post, you'll get something in some sort of plastic bag like this. There's kefir grains and there's a little bit of milk, and that will have been taken out of the main supply and posted off to you, and you'll get it the next day. Now, really easy, but there's a couple of things worth thinking about here. Now, when you first get your grains, it's going to be quite a small amount. It's usually in the 1 to 2 teaspoon range is the way it's usually sold. You don't need much to get started, so sending you a big stash is kind of crazy. And also, depending on which milk you're using, it seems crazy, but kefir grains, it takes a little while, not very long, you know, a few days, a week, or maybe a couple of weeks for them to acclimatise to the type of milk you're using. And that might sound kind of ridiculous, but for example, here I've got some organic whole milk. I always use whole milk. I recommend you do. Using semi-skimmed is not a healthier option. The fat in full fat milk is really important, and basically if you're using semi-skimmed, you're basically drinking a dead product, which is really basically sugar water, because obviously the lactose, which at the end of the day, the kefir grains, that is what they eat. They feed on sugar, and so they will be eating the lactose in your milk. That will be their source of sustenance. But always go for full fat. I'm lucky, I'm able to get raw Jersey milk where I live. And for my own kefir, I often use this, and I do sell grains that have been cultured in raw milk. So you can go from grains that have been cultured in normal full fat organic milk and put them into raw milk. If you'd rather have some that have been permanently for a long time cultured in raw, I have those too. But for this exercise, we're just going to be using Waitrose Dutchy organic whole milk. Now, if you're not English, the Dutchy brand, that's Prince Charles. He's the Duchy of Cornwall, and he's into organic farming, and this is the milk he produces. Okay, so it's so easy, it really is. Your milk can be straight out the fridge. Kefir will culture in a range of temperatures. Obviously, if it's a bit cooler, it will take a bit longer. If it's a bit warmer, it'll take less time. I tend not to leave milk out. I tend to get it straight out of the fridge, pour it into my jar with the grains, stick it up in the cupboard, give it a couple of stirs during the next 24-hour period, and it's done. If you're in a very hot climate, you may find that you really want to try and get it somewhere a little bit cooler. But because you've got a limited amount of kefir grains at the start, they can't culture an awful lot of milk. That would obviously make sense. As they develop and they grow and they double in size, you can do an awful lot more milk with them. And I usually do, for myself, 1 litre at a time. Plus I've also got ongoing culturing for people who want grains from me. So your grains will come. You want a clean jar, good wash with soap and water, rinse it out with some warm water, leave it to drain, and then literally just pop your grains into the jar. And then you can put that to one side. So there they are. You can see them in there. It's my grains. in the bottom. Pour out around 250 millilitres. This is about a cup. Well, it is a cup, but it hasn't got to be exact, but that's a good place to start. So 250 ml of milk into there. The chopstick comes in really handy. I could shake it, but I don't want to, obviously, because it'd mean putting the lid on and shaking it all up. So we just use the chopstick and we just stir it and agitate it. And that is done. Get your gauze, whatever you're going to be using. It could be a paper towel. Elastic band over the top. I tend to just place the lid loosely on the top. Plenty of breathing for gases to escape. And then that will just go into my pantry cupboard where it's dark. You need it to keep it in a dark place. If you can't, you could put a thick towel over it or around it. Usually you can find somewhere dark. You can slow the process down by keeping it in the fridge, or if you go the next day and it's ready and you haven't got time to strain it straight away, you can put it in the fridge and it will slow the culturing process. What I often do, because when I've got plenty for myself, is I'll strain my grains and using my measuring jug and my sieve, I'll put my grains back into my litre bottle. I'll cover it with milk, because the grains do need to be fed, even if it's being slowed down in a cool environment or in the refrigerator. You still want to have milk for them, because it will be much slower culturing, but they will die if they don't have the sugar to feed on. So I'll often just pour a litre of milk in, put the lid on. I can put that on tight because it's in the fridge. It's going to be very slow. It's not going to build up much gas. And then I'll take it out when I want to speed up the process. So to get your kefir started, that really is it. Grains, clean jar, 250 ml, 1 cup of milk, and place it in a cool place. When I say cool, not too hot. So you obviously don't want to put it in a hot airing cupboard because it'll go crazy too quick. A cupboard that's ambient temperature, maybe sort of 18, 19 degrees Celsius, and in Fahrenheit, I don't know what that is, probably about 75, something like that. I could be way off there, but it's not critical. If it's a bit cooler, it'll be a bit slower. But if it's out in a pantry or in a room and it's not in Alaska at minus 20 outside in your outhouse, then you'll be fine. So that's it. Easy peasy. And I'll see you on the next video when I'll be showing you how to go from your first ferment to your second and straining, etc. I'll see you next time.